Everybody, welcome. Tonight we're going to talk about a little bit about real estate cash flow. Talk a little bit about my process with how I use my VA loan to become a real estate investor. So more so for my veterans out there, military. We're going to talk a little bit about how I use my VA loan to become a real estate investor, and kind of accelerated my real estate investing journey using that vehicle. It's definitely a vehicle because it gets you where you want to go as a real estate investor. And as a military person, one of the assets that you have is your VA loan. So for me, I bought my first property back in 2006. Warner Robins, Georgia. Had just kind of came in, graduated from college, started my career, going through that whole process, and still didn't have a whole lot when it came to financial literacy. Those that read my book, Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategy, you know my story, just my whole process. With having a family member having to sign on my lease for my apartment building, or for my apartment that I had starting my career, and just from that whole process, fixing my credit over the next 10 months, and then being able to use my VA loan to buy my first property for 65,000, Warner Robins, Georgia, and and since that point, never really looked back. And it allowed me to realize that you can buy an asset, you can have somebody living in the asset that's paying down your debt, that's putting money in your pocket, your cash flow that you have, and is over time is going to go up in value, and that you're going to have tax write-offs and incentives for buying and being an owner. And so after that, I was hooked. Of course, with the VA loan, you got a requirement where you have to stay in the property for at least 1 year, which is fine. But when you leave, and like in my case, I owned that property. I bought it in November 2006, and I left there in January of 2010. And so when I left in January 2010, I automatically became a landlord. I became a real estate investor. Because I kept the property. You don't have to sell. I owned it. Actually got money back at closing. That whole process was crazy. I got into the deal because I had a lieutenant buddy of mine, shout out to Nick Battle, that presented the opportunity to me. I had got my credit fixed, and I was good to go. And so he bought one side of the duplex. I bought the other side. It was about 920 square feet. It was built in. He built that house in like '03. It was a builder we bought it from. He bought it in 2000. He built it in 2003. We bought it 3 years later, in 2006, so he could go off and do more new construction. That was his thing. He was a builder. He needed to get liquid to go build some more homes, and so he gave us a pretty good deal. I actually got a little bit over $300 back at closing, using my VA loan, and so it was awesome. And from there, it was just eye opening with all the benefits. But when I moved in 2010, I ended up putting a property manager in place to manage it because I left. I went and moved to Texas, and the place rented out in like less than 30 days. I think we had somebody slated to move in when I left, and that's just the power of real estate. That lady I had one that tenant moved out, and they took too long getting another one. I hired another property manager, and the current lady that's in there, she's been in there almost 10 years now, in the property all this time. So it's been great. Whereas that I've owned the property and I hadn't had to deal with any tenants. I think we replaced the refrigerator. We've replaced. I think that's really it. Power washed the house. Called a plumber a couple times. Fixed the air conditioner once or twice. But outside of that, it's been pretty much straightforward. Whereas that you just get your money and they drop it off in the mailbox and you're good to go. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize, that you got to start taking action, because one deal leads to the next deal, which leads to the next deal, and networking, and one relationship can lead to another relationship to lead to starting this business or this business, and just starting growing. So I think that's one of the things that you have to do and realize when you get ready to start wanting to get into cash flow and real estate, that you got to just take action. Because you look at now that first rental property that we had, that we've grown our portfolio. We just got to clear the close today on the 40 unit, which is going to push us up to like 73 units total. And 2 weeks from now, we're closing on another 56, which is, I hadn't even done the math. It's going to put us over like 120 units total. And But it just started with that one. It started with that first rental property, managing it, still going through that process, becoming a landlord, learning, dealing with property managers, with property management companies. What's going on? We got a new person jumped in. But I think that's the biggest thing with you start with your first deal. Once you get that first rental property, for me, it was using my VA loan. And then when I had to go to my next duty station, I had to come in and bring in a property management company to manage it for me when I left the state. And after that, we were good to go. But if I never done that first deal, who knows would I really have ever gotten started? Would I've learned about the power of the VA loan and go on to my next two duty stations and buy foreclosures using my VA loan, and just that whole knowing that process and just going through it. Like we've used the VA loan 4 times total in what 15 years since '06 to 17, so 11 years, and three of those four were for foreclosure, buying foreclosures, HUD foreclosures, one bank foreclosure, and no money down with the one that we used the jumbo loan for our current place, and we ended up I think we had put down 25K on this one. But that's the process that just continue to grow, continue to learn, and just know there's different ways. You can use your VA loan to buy up to 4 units, and you become an instant landlord from day one. You don't have to wait till you PCS and move away, but from day one, you can come in and become a landlord. So just wanted to shoot a little video, talk about that tonight. My voice is gone. I've been sick here the last 2 days, but we talk about the 500K challenge as well. Flip Hacking Lives coming up next month, where the best real estate investors, wholesalers all come together in Orlando, sunny Orlando, 13th through the 15th. It'll hopefully be back sunny after this hurricane comes through. But that's going on there, and it'll be 3 days, the 13th through the 15th. If you're interested, definitely get your ticket. Flip Hacking Live, just to learn what's going on with the market, networking with a whole bunch of real estate investors from across the nation, and that'll be cool. And yeah, if you got questions about how to get your first rental property, we're about to launch my new course. We went through beta for the last few months, but we're helping people use the same framework that we went from a Section 8 rental all the way to an 8-figure portfolio, and we're gonna help you get there in less than 16 weeks. Or I work with you for free. And I think that's the biggest thing. Where is that I want to get people excited about buying cash flowing assets, because if you're not buying assets, you're gonna become somebody else's asset, and I truly believe that. And so I think that's the biggest thing that we need to look at is how can we own more assets, and then you want to buy the right assets, whether it's a business or whether it's real estate that's gonna pay you each month, that's gonna give you a hedge against inflation. Because I'm telling you, the Fed just raised rates 3/4 points last week, and the big thing is they're trying to get inflation to 2%. But guess what? If inflation stays at 2% for 10 years, that means you're going to reduce. They're going to reduce your buying power by 20% over a decade. So at the end of 10 years, your buying power is going to be worth 20% less. So if you got $100,000, that $100,000 at the end of the decade, the end of 10 years is only going to be worth 80K from day one. And so that's the thing that you need to look at is how can you buy assets that go up in value? Because you look at when inflation was running rampant in the 70s, when we had high inflation, guess what happened? Real estate prices continued to go up or hold steady. And so I think we're going to be in the same thing, whereas that those who own real estate, that they're going to be in a good position, whereas that the rents are going to hold, they're going to be able to cash flow. And that's what I love about the Southeast. You got Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, those areas. You got some great areas within those states. The landlord law, the laws are landlord friendly, and you got great cash flow. It's still affordable. A lot of people are still moving there. A lot of jobs are coming through there. So that's where you want to look at where you can buy assets that are cash flow. When you start looking at wherever you want to buy your first rental property, you want to look at affordability. You want to look at job growth, population growth, and you just want to follow the trends of where these companies are going. Because guess what? All the employees that work in these companies, they need somewhere to live, and that's where we come in as real estate investors. But yeah, that's it. Definitely, if you got any questions, just comment. Shoot me a message if you got a question about your first rental. Yeah, let me know if you guys are looking, because I think that's the biggest thing that people don't have to and that's one thing I didn't realize, that I tried to go through this journey for the longest by myself, and you don't have to do that. Whereas that you just align yourself with the right network, the right community of people that are buying and looking to buy. It's just gonna put you in a place where you can accelerate your journey. Because guess what? If you're in a room with 4 millionaires, then a couple of years from now we're gonna be looking at the fifth millionaire. You are who you associate with. So you got to get in the room with the right people, with the right information that's trying to go to the same place, already in the place where you want to be. You got to get in those rooms, and you got to have those conversations. And you got to change your network, because your network is your net worth. And the sooner that you can make that leap and start networking and getting around like-minded people, your life is going to change. There's no way that your life is going to stay the same. But you got to make that commitment to yourself and start building, start taking the right actions in order to get that first rental property, get that first cash flowing property. Because the best time to buy real estate was 20 years ago, and the next best time is today. Because that cash flow is going to be king. It's going to set you free. It's going to give you that freedom, that time freedom, that financial freedom, to where is that you don't have to work and trade time to make money and pay your expenses. I think after this all said and done, when we execute our business plan for these 96 units, I think the market rent is going to be around $800 for the 2 bedrooms. But after the next couple of years, we execute this business plan. This apartment building is going to be generating over $90,000 a month. $90,000 a month in income from rental income, and so that's going to be a lot of cash flow once we finish refinance and execute the business plan. That after that fact, you don't have to work at that point, because you got assets that's paying all your bills. And so that's what it's truly about. That's what we're all about, with teaching people how to go from zero to multiple doors in a short amount of time to help you guys get going. So if you're interested in real estate coaching and getting a coach to kind of show you the ropes on how you can get your first property or your next property in the next 16 weeks, then let me know. That's what we're doing. We're about to launch our next cohort. I think we're going to enroll 7 people, maybe 6. Talk with a couple of people that my team let me know. So we're getting there for the kicking off October, and it's truly a blessing, and just helping people level up as we kick off and go into this recession, which is going to be some great buying opportunities for those that know what they're doing. But as always, you guys be blessed, and then I'll see you tomorrow.